All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Will with Schedulefly, and this is really cool because today is the first time I've done an in-person podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm here in Raleigh, North Carolina at Bida Manda with Kate Shields. She's a manager here. She's a baby GM, as she says, and she actually came over from Brewery Bavana, which is a sister restaurant, which is right next door. If y'all have listened to the podcast, if you've watched our films, if you've read our books, you know about Van Nolintha, who Kate works for, and an amazing story that he and his family have, and just an amazing group of people here at Bida Manda and at Brewery Bavana. And Kate's part of that team and was kind enough to do this first live podcast. So, Kate, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for asking me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This is fun. So, folks, there'll be some. We're literally here. They've got people in the restaurant. There's background noise, and this is fun. I like doing this. This is cool. This is going to be fun.
It is kind of fun. I love the staff just staring.
Yeah, I know they're like,
wonderful.
What are they doing over there? We have microphones and headsets on, and we're sitting on this couch. So.
Right.
Okay. So cool. So how did you first get into hospitality?
Well, probably about how old am I now? 14 years ago, I was working retail, and I had a friend who had just started working at the Olive Garden.
Okay.
And he was telling me about how much better it was. I was working at a music store when those still existed. I don't know. Did you know you could buy music at a store?
Yeah, in that kind of right.
Yeah, but back in the day.
What is a CD? What are they?
Right. So I was working, and so I got a job at an Olive Garden, and I started. And I loved it. I really took to it, 100% guest delight, all that kind of stuff. So I learned how to wait tables there, and I did that for a year, my last year of college, and then, graduated from state and went out into the big world and, got the 9-to-5 job and hated it.
What were you doing?
I was an outside sales rep for an industrial chemical company based out of Atlanta, but in the Raleigh area.
Yeah.
So I did that for a year, and then I switched into leasing with an apartment community, and I didn't like that. And then I kind of had this moment, I think around 25, where I was like, I can't do the office anymore. So I was like, no. So I went back to the restaurant industry, or the hospitality industry, and I worked for that restaurant for almost a decade. About 8 years off and on. I did get married and moved to Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
I worked for a fine dining restaurant down on River Street, the Boar's Head Grill and Tavern, for about 2 years. That's where I got some bartending experience. And then when I came back to Raleigh, I went back to my previous employer which was a big, like a draft house with 99 beers on the wall. So I did that for a really, really long time. And I loved it. I love the industry. I love those moments where you have a minute to make an impression on somebody and to make them feel welcomed and to take away any of the anxiety that they might feel about being in a new restaurant or being in a new place. And just, I think something about making people feel just completely welcomed right away is really powerful. And you don't get that everywhere.
Yeah.
So I worked for them for a really long time, and that relationship, I think that was more of a typical restaurant.
What do you mean?
With some of the things that, not typical, that's the wrong word, but there was some passive aggression and lack of communication, and just a lot of some of the things that are sometimes associated with, like, the negative traits of restaurants from time to time.
Yeah.
A lot of that there.
Yeah.
And I was just...
you could say, like you said, maybe not typical, but that's that's not uncommon in this space.
Yeah. And but I was talking to a friend of mine who was telling me about, this is so funny when I think back about it. So I was kind of unhappy in the role there, and the toxicity was really starting to get to me, and I loved this job, and I loved what I did, but I just couldn't do it there anymore. And my friend Cliff, who has been at Bida now for 6 years, was like, you should come apply at Bida Manda, because it is like heaven there for us. No,
is that he really said that?
He said that. He was like, for industry folk, it is like heaven. They are kind, they are intelligent, they are gentle. The only thing people ever get fired for is being grumpy. Just a community that really nurtures people like
Right.
as people, and not just an employee that shows up and like subcontracts and like takes care of tables. It's not
Yeah.
transactional. There's a story and a heart,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
So I was like, that sounds amazing. I want that. And so I applied, and Bida Manda wasn't hiring, but Brewery Bavana was.
And Brewery Bavana has been open for what about it?
They opened, I believe, in March of last year.
Year and a half. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So things at my previous employer were becoming very, very just hostile. It wasn't necessarily, I hate to say it, but it didn't end as well as
Yeah.
I would have liked it to. And
Okay.
so when I was hired on at Brewery Bavana, they asked me what I was looking for, and I was honest. I was like, I'm looking for a new community. I'm looking for a place to do these things and do them well,
Yeah.
and to be treated like a person,
Yeah.
and to, just care for people and give them something and allow them to, experience something differently.
Right.
My first 3 lineups, we do lineups at Brewery Bavana before shift, which is where one of the managers, talks about the specials or the counts or what the evening might look like. And then Van was in my first 3 lineups. And I was so touched by how he led these things that you don't see this in restaurants.
What's an example? Like,
he would just talk. So I started in June of last year, and so that was the LGBTQ. How do you say that?
yes, I think that's it. Yeah.
Q community, the month of.
Yeah.
And he just talked with so much care and intelligence, and coming from where I came from, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Just night and day.
It was
from what
night
you're-
and day.
Right.
Yeah, it was all about just these.
This is more like a conversation you'd have within your family than you
Yeah.
have on
Yeah.
a job, especially
Or you
a
would
restaurant.
have over drinks talking
Yeah.
to somebody
Yeah.
who was right. And just the things that he would bring, and the way that Louisa, who you've
Yeah.
met, and the way that everybody talked about this industry and this freshness and this like vibrance of just not doing restaurant, this
Yeah.
Buddhist businessman.
Yeah. Right.
Kinda, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And just, talking about intentionality and kindness and care, and it just, the whole thing, I got it.
Yeah.
It was like, I was like, this is where I need to be.
Right.
So I started as a server last June. Then I was a bartender. This past January, they asked me to manage. The first time that I had ever considered managing in this industry, which I'm so grateful for, because a lot of times management experience in other restaurants can be, you might not necessarily understand the way that we do things in this community.
Yeah.
So I'm really grateful that I've never managed a restaurant before, and I started to learn all about running shift next door and developing people and the kind of care that we put into our employees.
Yeah.
It's such a trickle-down effect where we treat people with kindness and we care, and we try and create a community that brings lightness, and we all enjoy our job, so that when you go to the table, what you're bringing to your table is natural and it's real. And I think that people can tell the difference when your server or they enjoy what they're doing. When your bartender really cares about whether or not you like that beer or not.
Yeah.
And they're happy,
Not
and
a
they're like
script.
they're having a really great time.
Yeah.
So I did that last January is when I started managing. And then about 2 months ago, Van had been searching for a new GM for Bida Manda, and he had, was looking outside the community, and I considered applying for it, but I didn't have the 3 years experience that they were asking for.
Sure.
And I guess I just wasn't brave enough, but
Yeah.
he then one night was like, "Hey, Kate, can we grab coffee this week?" And I was like, "Yeah! Oh my goodness, Van wants to be my friend. We're gonna hang out." And then he was like, he asked. He said, we need somebody next door, and I think no one's ever ready for that thing, but I think that you will be able to do this job.
Wow.
And I was like, I felt like everything and all my setbacks in this, industry and all the things that I had been like persevering through.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And it kind of felt like that for me. It kind of felt like I was supposed to help Van and Vanvisa their first baby, which is Bida.
Yeah.
So I'm here now and learning how to do the thing and, trying, to honor this space and, learn the traditions and the rhythms that Bida has. And it's a little bit of going from Brewery Bavana, which is so big and this like monster of a restaurant, to this little baby thing. But it's great. I'm having a good time.
Smaller space, but I mean, this is a busy restaurant.
It is a very busy restaurant.
Yeah.
It is. Busy lunch, busy dinner, always a wait, reservations for weeks. It's nice. It's really nice.
Okay, so what are you most excited about with this? And then what, do you still have any, let's say, hesitations or things that you're like, these are the things I really want to learn, or, what are your thoughts kind of going into this?
Well, I think I'm really excited.
And the reason I asked that question is because this is a great honor, and this is really cool. You're talking about a position where they were initially saying we need somebody with 3 years experience, and here Van comes to you and says, okay, look, nobody's ever really ready. Let's do it. So
yeah,
it's a big leap.
It's a huge leap.
Yeah.
I'm really excited because it's a new skill set that I haven't developed before, and it's very different. Instead of waiting on strangers and instead of having that first impression, and with bartending and serving, which I did for so long, you're immediately charming these people and showing them, and now I'm nurturing and caring for the same people all the time.
Yeah.
So that tilt of perspective and taking all of the things that I've learned over the years and turning it into building a team that cares for each other and wants to work hard and has a great time doing it.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about all those things. I'm also very apprehensive that I can't do it. I mean, I think we all doubt ourselves from time to time.
Yeah.
I don't know what success is going to look like.
Yeah.
I don't know what success is going to feel like. I know that it's really important to me that Vanvisa and Van trust me, and that I can keep Bida alive.
Yeah.
And it's not going to look like it did in the beginning. The seasons change, but I just want to make sure that Bida still feels that heartbeat is still here, and that those ceremonies and those traditions are still very well kept intact, and people still love working here, and and the guests still feel how much people like working here.
Right.
So yeah,
it's a big challenge, and one that I can tell you're clearly very excited about.
For sure.
I mean, Van's got a good eye for finding people that so.
Yeah.
It's a really nice compliment, and I'm sure he has.
I hope to live up to the Whitney, my predecessor, was incredible, and she was here from day one with them, and so to live up to Whitney, I would love to be able to feel that I have been able to do something along those lines.
So Whitney was here Whitney's moved. Did she move?
So Whitney is going to be working in like more of the we don't have a corporate, but like she'll be doing some stuff for Bavana and Bida.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
Yeah. As
growth within the business,
the community grows. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, y'all are just doing so much.
It's a lot. There's so many things everywhere. So, yeah.
Well, so now the GM. I mean, that's a lot of stuff that comes along with this. It's taking care of this team. There's like 1,000 hats. You always have just ultimate respect for a GM of a restaurant. Because there's so many things you have to do. It's kind of a
Well, and learning to wear the weight of the hat is what I think is where I'm what the season kind of I'm in now. It's just learning how big it is and how much is my responsibility, and going from, that server bartender mentality to now kind of the, person that puts it all together and does all the emotional labor and keeps all the things running and, takes care of all the people. I mean, it's a lot. It's a big hat.
What did you learn? What have you learned from Van that you think, I know you've learned a million things from him, but what are some of the things that you try to take from Van and Vanvisa and carry into this role?
Vanvisa is one of the most graceful and efficient people I have ever seen. The way that she moves through this space without its
grace and efficiency. That's a tough to pull off.
Grace and efficient and so intuitive and just so always with such smiles. She's so gentle yet also firm, and the way you don't respect her because this is her restaurant. You respect her because of this air of authority that she radiates that is just so just like intrinsic to who she is. So if I could do this job as well as Vanvisa, that would be success.
There you go. Okay.
Van, he just does everything with so much thought and intention, and he's so mindful and so kind. And he's always thinking so large. And I think one of the things that's easy to forget is the big picture. And Van's really great at reminding you of the big picture and remembering why we do this. And, this is, Van,
why do we do this?
Why do we do this?
Well,
Bida Manda is a love letter to Van's parents.
And I know this, by the way. I know.
I know you,
But what from
why
your
do we
perspective,
do this? Why do we do hospitality? Well, we create community, and we create a place for people to go that isn't work and isn't their home, and they can come and they can feel, just welcomed into this a little bit of another culture, and eat this delicious food and have, people, smile and genuinely care about whether or not they are enjoying themselves and whether they're feeling taken care of, and so that they can kind of, escape and come to this other place and be here,
and it is so genuine here, and it trickles down. You can't always define it, but we all know it when we see it, right? Good hospitality. And it's not easy to pull off. Not easy to pull off day after day and execute really well with a large team of people that have their own needs and their own things they're dealing with. And
and we try, and I think we really try and meet people where they are. And we have a sliding scale of formality. And so, if you come in off the streets or, you come into Bida and you don't really know what it is, and you sit down and you are slightly intimidated, and, you're in this downtown restaurant that's supposedly, this great restaurant, and you sit down and we can tell you look uncomfortable, we're going to meet you there. And we're going to make it comfortable for you. Or if you come in and we can tell that you want a little bit more formal service, we're gonna do that for you. So we try and have a sliding scale of what service looks like, as long as we have our, there are some non-negotiables, things that every table should look like. But we meet people where they are, and I think that is the difference when people don't really even know they're looking for it, and they come in and then they have this experience. So
you mentioned earlier that between the two places, there have not been many folks that had a lot of restaurant experience that have come in. And what do you think about that? Is that because we're looking for people that are a certain type of person, and we can train them on the restaurant piece of it?
Yeah, for sure. I think you can teach someone to wait tables. What you can't teach is presence and the ability to talk to people and to be confident and to offer something that is a non-transactional.
Right.
There's the something, and that's what we look for when we hire people. And a lot of times, restaurant people. Sometimes in the past, I think when people come in from other restaurants, and I know what to look for. I look for people when they have restaurant experience that are looking for something like I was. Like they've been doing this forever and they love the industry and they love the actual day-to-day part of the job, but there's just something off. And so they're looking for something that nourishes them and takes care of them like a person and treats this as a career and something that you can do. That's another thing that Bida and Bavana do, is they treat this as a viable career.
Right.
And something, and we try and value people in that respect too. But yeah, you're looking for that extra something, and you can teach someone who's green, who has the thing, how to wait tables. Right. It might take a little bit of time. It might take them 6 months to be a rock star, but you can teach them.
Yeah.
And we really invest in people when we hire them, and we invest in their success, and we try and set them up as well as we can.
Yeah.
And walk them through the process, and how you do this, and but yeah.
Yeah, if you have that kind of person, they're probably highly teachable too, I would
right.
think.
Well, and that's another thing you look for. You look for people who are open to feedback or criticism.
I was going to say, you kind of have to, I mean, by default, I think the kind of people, if I'm understanding, that y'all probably bring in here are teachable and they're coachable and they're going to check their ego at the door and
there's no room.
Be a sponge to soak up and absorb and
for
learn
sure.
and grow.
For sure. And we're looking for people who want to learn something.
Yeah.
Who are looking to not only, it's never about making money with us, even though we're very aware that this is, how you sustain your life. It's about needing community and wanting to be a part of, caring for people and, providing a different type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Mm. So you really feel at home here. I can tell.
Do. Yeah, I love it. I'm still learning. I think hopefully I'll learn how to stand up in like 6 months to a year is how I'm giving myself. I told them if I didn't get it by then they could find someone. But, I think we always give people the time to grow into the roles and give them some space to grow up.
Yeah.
And to you can't do it overnight. You can't just walk in here and know what you're doing. You have to take the time to learn all the skills and the patience and the resiliency and all the things.
Like a great place like this, there's, and you touched on this a little bit. I'm just curious, like, much of it needs to stay the same and stay consistent, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. But what things change over time in a place like Bida Manda?
I think, the only things. That's a really great question.
And maybe not much does. I'm sure the menu changes some, but
actually, no.
Yeah, okay.
Our menu hasn't much changed, and I think they might be considering something now. But the food is good, and it is so authentic to Laos, and they just haven't really had to make a lot of changes in that respect.
Yeah.
And people still come for it, and they come back, and and we still have so many new people all the time. I'm always impressed at how many times, because we ask people, is this your first time here?
Yeah.
So that we can cater the experience to that.
Well, what's interesting though, because I think this is what I find really interesting about good restaurants is, a lot of places come and they're kind of constantly chasing new trends, new fads. But if you have an authentic mission, purpose for being here, truly authentic, and you have a passion for it, and you are consistent with the food you're offering, the service you're giving. That never goes out of style, does it?
I don't think it does.
It doesn't have to. I kind of was getting it. Things don't have to. Nailing the basics every day
and doing
getting
it
right. First of all, that sounds easy, but it's not. It's really hard. But if you can, people and then they go in somewhere new opens and they go try that and all that, but they always come back.
Right.
Like if you're offering that,
right, and
they'll always be back.
And that's what we see.
Because it's comforting to know. I know when I go there, I know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get a wonderful service with a smile that's genuine, and I'm going to get, I'm going to get really good food. Like I know what, and people appreciate that.
Right.
It's not easy to do.
Yeah, and somehow what Van and Vanvisa built here was a staple.
Yeah.
And this, like a rock kind of in this community, in this downtown area. And, yeah, for sure. People keep coming back, and I don't know what, the things that change. I haven't thought about that, and I'd hate to attempt an answer and not really put as much thought into it.
Probably not much does other than
the people.
I mean, that's really, and I think, you're here now doing this. Whitney's moved, but I mean, it's the faces may change some, but then the outcome for the guests.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny
really
because
doesn't.
So much of what a restaurant is the way it feels, and the
Yeah.
feeling you can't touch. It's not tangible. It has nothing to do with numbers.
Yeah.
And so I feel like my biggest responsibility is making sure that it feels the same to guests when they walk in.
Yep.
And that as I hire or as we invite new people to train, as we bring in new people, that we can continue to harness and ask people to show up for Bida and bring the stories and all of that from their heart.
Yeah.
Teaching people to care about Bida and asking them to care about Bida. And we ask people to be vulnerable, and that to me is the biggest way of it feeling the same.
Yeah.
And then of course making sure the food quality is always good, and
Yeah.
those things, those business things.
Yeah. There's
And the drinks and the the cocktails and the wine and there's so many pieces, but I think how it feels and trying to create that is the biggest way.
But those things take care, like the food, the consistency and all that takes care of itself if you have the team of people that has that intention,
which is what we
because
do.
you don't have to be like, hey, we need to make this. You people that are going to take that so seriously that they don't really need somebody to tell. Like you've got the wrong people when you have people you kind of have to constantly remind, right? Like you have people that are really bought into what you're doing and want to be a part of this, like you did.
Yeah,
it doesn't take a lot of nudging to
for sure,
do it well.
And we have a great team, and that was one of the things that Van mentioned when I was considering the role, is that there's nothing broken. There's nothing broken here. It runs, and it's small little fires. So there's nothing that needs to be drastic, and I think that's why he feels like I can do this. Yeah. Because if things needed to go one direction or another, I'm not sure. I don't know. We would see. Yeah,
but that makes sense.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so glad to have you in the space. It's so nice for you to, isn't it? It's nice sitting face to face with somebody.
This has been fun.
For sure,
I really enjoyed this. It's funny because you asked if we would be doing it in person. I was like, well, I'm in Charlotte. I didn't even have I haven't ever done it. And I was like, but then I started thinking, I was like, actually, I'm gonna figure out a way to do that. That would be really cool. So I appreciate it
I appreciate it. I think I'm less nervous with you sitting here than
that's cool.
We were on the phone. So I think
cool.
this
has worked out great then, because I like this. So I'm going to start doing more of these. So this all came from you, from Bida Manda. Not surprisingly, it all comes back to this place somehow. I tell you.
Yeah. Well, I know the space inspires.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Van inspires.
It's a special. And he does. I appreciate this very much.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming to
it.
me. I appreciate that so much. Yeah.
No, I mean, I feel really lucky to have the opportunity through Schedule Fly to do this stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, we just love serving places like this and people like you and Van and Vanvisa and the team here. And this is a wonderful opportunity. So I thank you.
Well, thank you. And Schedule Fly is like my newest little Sudoku puzzle every week. That's something completely new for me.
Oh, is it really?
Writing a schedule, absolutely.
Oh,
so
I didn't know
learning
that.
how to use Schedule Fly, it's one of my biggest challenges right now.
Are you serious?
I mean, it's so intuitive and easy
yeah.
to use, but writing
But
schedules.
learning to do that, you haven't done the scheduling before.
No, never. So I'm learning all of those things, and math
cool.
homework, is what I call it at the end of the night with all the money and stuff.
Math
all the
homework,
things.
That's funny. Okay, cool.
All the things.
Well, if you need any help with Schedule Fly,
Thank you.
You know who to call.
Yeah, thank you
All right,
so
cool.
much.
All right,
Okay.
Kate. All right, awesome.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
you too.
High five.
Yeah.
All right, we're out, folks.